India and Israel share a unique partnership. It is both varied and comprehensive, and is characterized by pragmatism and trust. It is transactional, as well as strategic, and has withstood the test of time and political transitions in both countries. It was much later in 1992 that India established a diplomatic relationship with Israel. But there are several reasons for New Delhi's interest in forging a stronger relationship with Tel Aviv, against many odds, both at the diplomatic level as well as at home. First and foremost, Israel has been a reliable partner on many fronts. Stifling under various international regimes and sanctions, India has found in Israel a willing partner, especially during crises. Israel has been forthcoming in supplying weapon platforms and weapons that India was prohibited from procuring in the international market. During the 1999 Kargil conflict, for example, Israel was quick to respond to the Indian requirement for artillery munitions and other critical war stores. It is not surprising that Israel is today one of the biggest military suppliers to India. Another key element, which sustains this relationship, is pragmatism. The relationship between India and Israel is founded on common sense rather than rigid ideals. Although both countries gained their independence from the United Kingdom within months of each other, they found themselves headed in pointedly different directions for nearly 4 decades. India is a leader in the non-aligned movement that maintained close relations to the Arab world and the Soviet Union, Israel, which linked its future to close ties with the United States and Western Europe. For India, the big obstacle to establishing a connection with Israel was India's substantial Muslim population, which believed that tight ties with the Jewish state would radicalize its Muslim residents and harm relations with the Arab world. Both the countries have serious differences on Palestine and Iran, and now on Syria. But both nations have agreed to remain disagreed, without letting differences hold the relationship hostage. Although India maintained a public distance from Israel until the late 1980s, the two countries had extensive bilateral interaction in the preceding years. Another important factor is that both India and Israel are grappling with radicalism. In Kashmir, India is dealing with extremist Pakistanis, in the same way that Israel is dealing with radical Palestinians. Although there has not been any significant change in India's stand on the Palestine issue, however, Israeli officials have stated that Israel will never back Pakistan on the Kashmir issue. In terms of Israel's stance on India's China issue, Israeli officials states that there was no reason for Israel to take a position on the Sino-Indian military stalemate. Israel has excellent relations with China, but, as one official put it, just as India's relations with Iran are not directed at Israel, neither are Israel's contacts with any other country. It's possible that Israel's confidence in exclusive ties with New Delhi reflects the maturity of its relationship with India. The proximity of India to Arab states was intended to provide leverage against Pakistan. But, with Arab powers failing to support India's position on Kashmir and Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, there was a sense of disenchantment in New Delhi. India, on the other hand, has maintained its long-standing support for Palestine, while maintaining its ties with Israel. An example of this was seen soon after Israel launched Operation Protective Edge in July 2014. In a public statement, India expressed concern over the tragic loss of civilian lives in Gaza, but added that the cross-border provocations resulted from rocket attacks on Israel. The mention of cross-border provocations is reminiscent of the ceasefire violations that take place on the Indo-Pakistan border. India's relationship with Israel has flourished not only diplomatically, but in defense as well. India, being a member of NAM, has never supported Israel during the times of war. But they have signed deals in the development of science, agriculture, wastewater management, and cybersecurity, which has amplified, and both are working together to counter terrorism. If we are talking about Israel's role in India's defense, then there have been several occasions where India has received assistance from Israel. India continues to purchase high-tech defense equipment from Israel in order to improve border security, and the main imports include UAVs and UCAS. The defense ties have amplified over the years. The Searcher Mk1 drone was the initial purchase from Israel Aerospace in 1996, and it was followed by the Searcher Mk2 in 2000. In the late 1990s, a critical defense deal was the purchase of Barak-1, an air defense missile designed specifically to intercept US-made Harpoon missiles deployed by Pakistan. Other systems included the CIBMS Surface-to-Air Python and Spider system, integrated under the Water Harbor Defense and Surveillance System. In 2003, Israel gave India Heron Mk1, which was good for both countries, because Israel couldn't fully test the Heron, while India's terrain made it possible to test UAVs in all ways. Heron can fire missiles up to 52 kilometers away and as high as 35,000 feet in the air. Israel UAVs are being employed for surveillance by India, the military aircraft guided by remote control or both. It contains sensors, target identification, offensive munitions, or electronic transmitters designed to interfere with or destroy enemy targets. In late 2002, India signed a $20 million deal with Israel Military Industries for 3,070 TAR-21 Tavor assault rifles. Tavor has gradually become the rifle of choice for the Marcos, Para-SF, and few other special forces units. It is very easy to use and maintain, yet being a formidable weapon. The major assemblies of weapon can be opened in just a click, cleaned and assembled quickly. The Kargil War, in which Israel helped India with laser-guided bombs, and the Operation Parakam following the 26/11 terrorist assault. RAW, an intelligence bureau, have developed good relationships with Israel's Mossad, and are working together to combat terrorism. The time when Israel proposed to construct the Falcon airborne warning and control system. With the help of this airborne radar, which is placed on a Russian Il-76 aircraft, airborne controllers are able to monitor and manage the airspace for hundreds of kilometers in all directions. However, Israel Aerospace Industries and ELTA were awarded $1.1 billion by the Indian government, despite the fact that no Israeli company had ever designed an AWACS previously. In this way, India was also able to assist in the training of hundreds of Israeli designers, who worked on the construction of an AWACS capability using Indian funding. Not only this, Israel also provided India with fighter aircraft radar and avionics equipments for tanks and Israeli border surveillance to India. India's defense relationship with Israel is also being sought to be leveraged to improve the country's defense exports profile. Bharat Electronics Limited, for instance, has expressed an interest in having a tie-up with the IAI to boost the defense exports profile. It remains to be seen how Bell and the IAI can pursue this further. The IAI has a well-established international profile and marketing prowess, an element that Indian state-owned defense industries, as well as private sector companies, can study and learn from. Given the extraordinary range of cooperation in terms of procurement and joint development of equipment, ranging from missiles like long-range surface-to-air missiles, medium-range SAMs, radars, UAVs, assault weapons, among others, India may not see an immediate drastic reduction of the quantum of the India-Israel defense trade in the immediate to short term. The Israeli defense industry is also well placed, given its long-standing exposure to the Indian market, to take advantage of the government's various measures to help in domestic manufacturing. These include relaxed norms for FDI, in case the foreign OEMs agree to transfer of technology. Israel and India have also agreed to collaborate on projects related to space exploration and cybersecurity. Both nations have worked together in the past on projects involving space exploration and technological development. In 2008, the Israeli reconnaissance satellite, Tech-SAR, was successfully launched into space by the Indian Space Research Organization using its PSLV rocket. India is known in Israel as an ancient nation with strong cultural traditions, and most Israelis think of it as a fascinating and unique place to visit. Young Israelis are especially interested in India. In 2018, more than 70,000 Indian tourists went to Israel, while more than 50,000 Israelis went to India. In March 2018, Air India started flying directly between New Delhi and Tel Aviv. There are now 5 flights per week. El Al, an Israeli airline, has direct flights from Mumbai to Tel Aviv. In conclusion, the history of the connection between Israel and India spans across many centuries. There is a tremendous amount of good feeling towards individuals, from Israel in general in India. India is one of the few nations in which Jews have never been persecuted. Indians appreciate Israelis for their resiliency as a people, and the way they stood up for themselves against all obstacles. Israelis are admired by Indians, not just for their accomplishments in the fields of defense, water, and agriculture, but also for their resiliency as a people. Israel and India are both considered to be strategic partners, a designation that India only shares with a select group of other nations, such as Russia and Bhutan. It can be said that India has built strong ties with Israel on all levels, including in the economic, political, military, and intelligence fields. It looks like both states have found the common ground to get their relationship on steady track and get past any potential problems. As long as these countries continue to face serious threats to their national security, the strategic focus of both capitals can only strengthen Indian-Israeli relations.